If you're not walking people, are you really doing comedy? Not against marriage at all. I'm against the people that get married. They're the worst. You ever go to a wedding, you know it's two people that don't belong together, but you don't say anything because you really want cake? There's no way they gonna make it, but that's buttercream frosting. I can't risk it. I won't risk it. Marriage can be a beautiful thing. I see some married couples, I'm like, oh, this looks gross. It's amazing. Two people acting as one, beautiful. But for the most part, marriage is for ugly people. You just gotta hear me out. You guys live here, you see those Hollywood couples all the time, right? They get divorced, right? People are like, oh my God, why they get divorced? They have everything. That's why they got divorced. They're good looking people. They make millions of dollars and everyone wants to be like them. So when it gets a little crazy, they bail because they have other options. But ugly people don't have other options. There are no fish in the sea for ugly people. It's just that one ugly ass barracuda that they snagged with that jagged ass tooth. That's why you never see ugly people have big arguments. Good looking people have them all the time. I dare you to say something to make me leave. But ugly people are like, whoa, 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 now let's just take it easy. We's all we got.
Hi, welcome to Stand Up, Sit Down. I'm your host, Tim Slagle, and we're talking today with Kevin Bozeman from Chicago. Probably one of the funniest guys working alive today.
Well, no, I mean...
No, I just start with flattery just to throw you off.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. I do all right.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't take much coaxing.
What's up?
We're on a TV show. We're broadcasting from the beautiful silver Trump Tower, and all over Chicago and downtown Peoria, and we're going to talk a little bit about your comedy today. And,
fantastic.
It's we've had a couple of acts on before. We've had Larry Reeb, Rocky Laporte, legends, and both of them use a notepad. And I was wondering, do you carry a notepad with you, or?
No, I don't carry one with me. I don't carry one with me all the time because I have my phone. My phone is. You need to tell Larry and Rocky that they need to go through their apps because there are notepads in the apps. I generally will write something down in my phone, or if it's about the cadence of it, I'll record it.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's just like a premise or something I want to talk about, I'll write it down. But if I have like a funny line or something and I want it said a certain way, I'll say it in my phone and record it. So those are generally two. But I do carry, like, I still go to a coffee shop and I prefer pen and pad over a computer because I can retain easier when I write it down because you're writing the whole words down. And
right.
It's just easier for me to retain it when I write it down as opposed to typing it for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I guess I use all of the above, but I don't actually carry like the old note. You know, I got like all of my notepads from years ago that I have. They all start out with jokes, but then they always end up with my gambling bets. True. Not one notepad that I have does not end at either my fantasy draft or who I'm drafting or money on games. So they always end up, they start out as joke notes, but then they turn out to be ledgers.
So how long have you been doing it now? You've
22 years.
Uh-huh. You started in Madison? Is that correct?
Started in Madison, Wisconsin. Well, yeah, it was basically Wisconsin. I used to live right in between Madison and Milwaukee. And then back then, there was no, like the comedy scenes now are just fantastic. Like there should be no reason you shouldn't get stage time. But when I started in Wisconsin, there was a Wednesday night
room in Milwaukee and a Wednesday night room in Madison. So I would just switch off week to week and go to both. And then eventually I moved to Madison, and Madison was just where I did most of my work at.
How long were you doing comedy before you went pro?
I should have stayed amateur longer. Let's just say that. I went pro way too soon. So, oh gosh, I would say a year before I started working, and it was like less than 2 years before it's like my income.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like less than 2 years. But back then I was just so high energy. I didn't have a voice. I was just doing jokes about whatever. And so I didn't have a point of view or anything, but I was super energetic and loud, and, you know.
Right.
And I mean, I get my strengths, and so I was likable, and I got away with a lot of things that some other comics couldn't get away with. And so I was moved along in a pipeline faster than I should have been, when I should have just stayed in the bottom ranks and kept working on my craft. But when you need money, you do it. That's the yin and the yang. Where I I tell comics all the time, I go, it's nothing wrong with having a day job and doing stand up, because the day job will provide you money to support you so you can develop your crafts. But you want to be over ready before you're pre-ready. It's okay to be ahead of the game, besides the trying to catch up to the game. And I wish I would have did that.
I think every one of us, though, at one point in our career was an act that we would hate to see go in front of ourselves now.
Yeah, I think I saw someone like Lori Kilmartin tweeted. She goes, if you don't look at your old stuff and cringe, then you're probably not doing stand up right.
or you're making other people cringe.
You're right, or you're making right. So yeah, I mean, you know, Eddie Murphy, who I think is, only because he just stopped doing stand up, maybe not the greatest stand up of all time, but I think he is pound for pound easily the funniest person that's ever lived. And he looks back. I mean, you look back at Delirious, the things he talks about. I mean, you know, names he's calling people, talking about hitting women. He does it all. And he goes, I look back at that stuff, and he cringes at it. And rightfully so. I mean, he was 22 years old. So what was his real point of view at the time? So,
yeah, when you're 22, your perspective isn't
right. And and so I was in my 20s when I started, and I didn't really have a perspective or point of view, no kids, no anything like that. And so there was nothing that grounded me. There was nothing. I was just doing it because I knew I had the ability to make people laugh, but I didn't know how really to make people laugh.
Do you think the kids changed your act?
Yeah, good Lord, yeah, because it was grounded, it's centered. So everything, once you have something that you have to do every day, and your life kind of revolves around it, then you know your writing becomes more pointed, and then. So yeah, from that standpoint, it definitely did.
I think you also have something relatable too with that with the audience,
right? And I'm always pushing against the establishment, kind of. So I am the anti-parent, kind of. Like you would see me if you see my act, you would go, this guy really strong.
Well, yeah, I mean, the clip we just saw, you're talking about marriage only being for ugly people.
Well, which is still true. That is an undeniable truth. It's not. I always tell people, like, if you're happily married, please enjoy these jokes. If you're not, listen up. But yeah, I think there's some truth to all those things. But I tend to focus on like those little negative things about it. Like I also like to make people uncomfortable. I think there's real comedy in being funny and also making people uncomfortable, as opposed to just being safe and just saying jokes and everybody's laughing and they walk out with a pleasant experience. It's like I'm good if there's If you're not walking people, are you really doing comedy?
I never thought so. I've always felt there are two kinds of art. No matter what art you're doing, there's two basic kinds. There's painting and sculpting. And so you can either create by adding color or you can create by chipping away. And I think both of us have always been sculptors.
Sculptors, yeah. Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. I mean, stand-up is definitely a pure art form because you know exactly where you stand. As soon as you say that joke, there is no reflective art in that. You say the joke, you know where you stand. So yeah,
it's not like a novel that you have to wait for the reviews.
Or you watch a painting and you just people go to the art museum and they'll look at art and they'll just look at it, but you don't know if they like it or not. They're not clapping. They're not walking past clapping or booing art, right?
I think maybe good art you might get a few boos.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying. So yeah.
We're going to talk more about creating and how to create, and a week we spent together in Minneapolis.
It's a great week. It's a groundbreaking week for me.
On the next segment coming up, stay tuned to Stand Up, Sit Down this week with Kevin Bozeman.
Suburban life is great, man. It's one of those really white suburbs. I love it. Thought I wasn't, but I love it. Because I'm the only black person on my block, which means I'm the most important person on my block. Because I single-handedly control the value of all the homes on my block. Don't you dare act like you don't get that joke. I know you get it, right? Not us. We don't. No, not us. Love that power. Throw it in my neighbor's face all the time. See him at Starbucks, I'm like, you better buy my coffee or else I'm gonna have a cookout. Watch the value of your house drop 10 G's. Get to it, Chip. You know what I like. I live in a cul-de-sac, too. Woo! That's prime white people real estate right there. Cul-de-sac, that's your end game. Who knew that a block that ended in a semicircle had such value? I ain't know what a cul-de-sac was till like 4 years ago. I grew up in the hood. There's no cul-de-sacs in the hood. You can't have drive-bys and cul-de-sacs. Unless you hate all three houses. You roll up, you're like, yo, blast them fools, man. All right, now cut the wheel, put it in reverse, creep up a little bit. Blast them fools, man. Cut the wheel again, put it in reverse, creep up a little bit. One more house, stay focused. It's a drive around.
Hi, welcome back to Stand Up, Sit Down. I'm Tim Schlegel, and that was Kevin Bozeman, who is with me in the studio this evening.
Yes, sir.
And we're out here in the suburbs, not far from the suburb.
My suburban life. My suburban life is great. It's getting better now. I saw 4 black families in a grocery store the other day. I did. It was amazing. We just looked at each other and smiled. Because deep down, we knew that the store manager couldn't follow all of us. Who's with me? KevinBozeman.com. Holla. Holla. Holla at your boy.
I thought we had worked together for a week. I do for the audience, I do a show in Minneapolis once a year called Crash and Burn, where I invite 3 other comics to spend a week writing 20 minutes a piece. And over the week, we start with stuff that we've never done before on Tuesday, and by Saturday, we hope to have a completed act. And Kevin, you were with me on that. I thought that was one of the bits you had written that week.
Don't think, but I got a couple of them that made it to my album. For one, all comics, it should be a goal to be invited to Crash and Burn at Acme. It's such a great process. And I remember I had a flight to fly from Chicago, but then I was just like, if I drive these 6 hours, I can write my act by 20 minutes. So I drove my 6 hours, and I had my act, and And because you've been doing the show for a little while, the crowds know and very forgiving. They all made us feel good about ourselves on Tuesdays.
They made us feel really good. We
Right?
killed.
And I was like, oh my God, this is how I'm going to do my stand-up from here on out. So I'm gonna write my 20 minutes and drive and practice. And then night 2, Wednesday night, crowd's like, nah, we ain't having it. We ain't having it.
I think there was some corporate party or something, or somebody who had a bad day, and it was crickets all night.
And so then that Thursday, and I hate taking L's. Like, I'm a prideful dude. Like, I don't like being rejected in that manner or fashion. I do think it's okay to be rejected. It's great. Like, rejection builds character, but it's just certain rejections that rubs me the wrong way. So I got up at like 6 a.m, went to Starbucks, walked like a mile, got to Starbucks, and just put the pen to the pad and just started writing, rewriting. And then I was in Starbucks and right in Minneapolis, downtown, and it was just a lot of chatter, and I saw people crying, and I was just not really paying attention. And then my phone started dinging, and then that's when Prince had died.
Yeah.
That Thursday morning. And I was right across the street from the Starbucks is right across the street from First Avenue, where they filmed Purple Rain. And then that really inspired me, because he's like my all-time favorite. Like, Prince was my all-time favorite. And then from there, I wrote a bit about love, which really was a huge part of my my album. And then so that was the one that I know for sure. But I would probably have to go through my notes and see what else made it in. I'm not saying that didn't make it in, what that clip we just saw, but I know for sure that the love part made it in, and I know something else made it in, but I don't remember. That was a few years ago. But yeah, it's such a great experience.
Yeah, that was weird to be there in the center when it was like the whole world was mourning and coming in, and right there at First Avenue, the crowd just started gathering, the memorials started happening, the flowers started showing up, the crowds.
Me, you, and David Crow walked down there and saw it, and it was just thousands of people in the street, and they was just blaring Prince music, and it was just.
Yeah, I wrote one line. I wrote one line that might not even go over here in Chicago, but it could only have been done there that week. Was that the Wisconsin people started coming in on the weekend, and you knew that because they were very uncomfortable wearing purple.
Oh yeah, right.
And I guess if you're a football fan, you might get that. Or
yeah,
it was.
But yeah, it was sad, but also, awesome to be there at that time and feel that energy and love, because that dude's just the man. Like, I think Eddie Murphy is the funniest human being ever. I think Prince is easily the most talented too. If you think about, like, just not just his music, but like him singing whatever and his performances, but like how many instruments he played, and it's all stories of him never taking lessons, him just picking it up, just like whap, got it, whap, drums, piano, guitar, right, flute. I don't know if that part's true. I don't know. I'm sure if he wanted to put a flute in there, he could. So.
I have friends in Minneapolis, and I was not aware of this. I guess if you're a diehard Prince fan, you know this, or if you're live in Minneapolis, is that he would just open up his house to parties. He would have open houses, and he would it would get through the network that he was having a party, and just everyone would show up. And occasionally, you would actually get to meet Prince, or he would actually come out and do a little performance if he felt like it.
Right.
If he didn't, he would just run Finding Nemo.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's the story of Questlove was DJing. Prince was bored with Questlove, so he just cut him off and started playing Nemo, and then Finding Nemo. But then Questlove was like, I came to another party like a month or two later, and Prince was playing the same stuff that I was playing that he said he was bored of. So I was like, all right, I see what's going on. It's just like one of those little things of dominance that top dogs do to exert their. They might like what you do, but they don't give you credit for it. And then the next thing you know, they're kind of mimicking it. So, but yeah, he was the man. But yeah, that was a fantastic week. It definitely, I think it definitely made me a better writer too. That whole process.
It's one thing we mentioned, I think that week is that if we could write like we do during that week, every week, we would be so much further along.
We definitely, yeah. I think, what separates some of the great ones from the good ones is being prolific. Being prolific is getting that pen and pad out. Shout out to Rocky and Larry. Getting that pen and pad out and that notepad and going out and just doing it every day and writing and committing. Just like if you remember that Jerry Seinfeld documentary, and he was just like, he didn't want to write and didn't want to create material, but then he saw these construction workers going back to work, and he goes, after lunch, he's like, if they can go back and do their job, I can get my butt and do some writing. It's really about, because when I write and I create material, it makes me more excited to do stand-up. It's when I get bored of the material that I'm doing, it's really when I really start to put the pen to the pad, because I'm just so tired of doing that act. But if I just stayed on top of it, ideally you would like to have your album come out, and by the time it comes out, you're 25, 30 minutes into another act. So you can, once that comes out and then people may be excited to see you come out and you got, oh, guess what? I got a whole new 25, 30 minutes of polished material. But
so you're about to record number 5, you told me.
5.5, I like to call it, because Two Parent Love I did, a clean version, which I kind of tweaked, and then I did
club version.
Club version. My normal speaking voice, I like to call it. Yeah, so I'm about to do that. I'll be recording at Acme in Minneapolis, August 25th and 26th. Ideally, I would like to do a clean version of that. There's just money to be made when you can put out a clean version, because it's just all the digital money and stuff. There's so many clean comedy channels that people don't know about, and the more it runs,
because they're clean. Who's listening to that stuff?
I know, but there's a huge market for that.
No, I know.
And then if you can come out with a clean version of something and don't have the clean version just not them bleeping words, then it's Yeah,
a little tip to all you youngsters is that clean comics can work a dirty room. Dirty comics can't work a clean room.
There's always value in working clean. It doesn't mean you have to stay clean, but it's always good to have a clean set in your pocket.
And thanks a lot, Kevin, for showing up here tonight on Stand Up, Sit Down. Hope you enjoyed it viewing at home. For those of you who are watching on the podcast, we're going to do another segment because Kevin wants to do something where he doesn't have to be clean.
Ooh, my favorite.
So you can switch over to the podcast, or if you're just watching over the antenna, see us next week. Good night.
People ask me all the time, oh man, if you wasn't a comic, what would you be? Probably a criminal. I'll be a good one though, because I'm really smart, as most of you can tell by now. I don't think they can catch me. I'm too smart. Even if they did catch me, I wouldn't care, because I'm pleading insanity, because that's the way to go. People go, man, to plead insanity, you got to have a heck of a lawyer. Not me, I'm representing myself. Because what screams more crazy than interrogating your own self on the witness stand? Just be like, now me, where was I at on the night of Sunday, December 23rd? Well, I was with you, exactly. How could I committed the crime and we were together the whole time? He's so crazy. Lock him up.
And we're back on Stand Up, Sit Down. We are on the podcast segment. So no longer do we have to do the dry bar set.
So
For those of you who don't know, the Dry Bar Comedy, it's a clean comedy channel. It's done out of Provo, Utah, and that's that.
You know, we were talking, and we were kind of alluding into this. I seriously like, I don't work clean and I don't work dirty. I try to work funny. Right? In the end, everything I say is funny. Everything in your life is not dirty. Everything in your life is not clean. There's some things I do that's clean and funny, and some things that I look or I observe that's funny and dirty. And so it's there. And so, you know, I don't try to pigeonhole myself, but like I said, I know like when corporates reach out, like, you know, I got these clean sets, and literally, if you're not talking about sex or anything, it's just a matter of pulling out F-bombs, right? It's just a matter like very few of your jokes ends in a punchline, fuck or fucking or shit. Like it's so you just
all my punchlines do. What are you talking about?
That's why you have to dress like that, though. Yes, that's why you dress like a choir director, because you got a filthy mouth, Slago. But yeah, you know, it doesn't end up, but you have it in there because you know you speak in your normal speaking voice and everything, and that's what you do. I mean, and listen, and I know like I'm a highly opinionated person, and I think that's good for stand up. And then when you're highly opinionated, you get fired up and you sharing your opinions and your emotions, and then that's when you kind of speak in your most natural speaking voice. Is when you're emotional about something, and that's kind of like how I drive my stand up. When Slago and I mean, I don't know, I think you knew who I was, but I definitely knew who you were when we met the first night we hung out at Zany's. And we went out to Zany's and we went out to Old Town Ale House. And it was like me, you, and 2 or 3 other comics. And then
you were full of opinionation that night.
If you put bourbon in me and just give me the floor, it's a wrap. I'll tell you everything, what's wrong with your life, how to fix your life. And I sat there and I was just like, look, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. But I don't mind. Here's the reason why I don't mind being highly opinionated, especially with my friends, is that I feel like it's coming from a good place. Like it's not coming from a place of hatred. It's not coming from a place of angst or, you know, I hate you and you need to. It's coming from, I think you're good, but you could be better. And this is how I think you could be better. And so I feel like all of my stuff is coming from a good place, which is why I don't mind sharing it. Even if I might rub people the wrong way, I know it's coming from a good place. Like I'm not saying it to be mean or spirit. I'm just like, I'm trying to get you to be the best version of yourself or put you in a position to win. And that's why I don't mind sharing my highly opinionated point of view. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to think that every time I hung out and I told you something, you go, Bozeman's just being full of shit. He's like, he's saying this because he cares and he's my friend. And
no, you gave me some great advice that night. Actually,
I do.
It's you don't even remember it, but
I do. I do remember. It was like the height of the politics, right?
Yeah.
And I was just like, dude, you need to have. It's a Monday nights there. You need to have a political show from both sides. Have people coming out and do jokes about it. It's like a political show, and you host it, and just give it the shot at the very least. It's a Monday night, and it's not, that night is unoccupied. If you could make that happen, but people are so buried into their political beliefs that it's hard for them to even laugh and appreciate a good joke about it.
People hate the other side more than they love their own.
Yeah.
Right now, which is a really strange place that we're in.
That's true for me. I loathe my side of politics, but I just loathe the other side more. I hate it like, on some levels equally. It's just like I don't even look like it's the lesser of two evils. I don't even look at it like that. It's just all shit. And it's hard. But when I do jokes, all of my jokes, I attack both sides. I do attack one side more than the other because that's just where I lean. But I make sure that I fuck up my party because my party is trash. That's facts.
You don't really do a lot of political though.
I don't because it was just so. It was so divisive and everything, and I snuck in my last album. I got 3 minutes on it. Album before that, maybe a minute or two, but for the most part, I'm not. But my next hour, I'm coming for blood.
Album number 6.
Album number 6. I am coming for blood. I think I'm gonna title it "Walking the Room." Walking the Room.
Brought to you by Kevin Bozeman and Jameson's.
Jameson's, yes.
One thing I've had every comic do so far, I think every that's been on here, is to tell his experience with Last Comic Standing. And I don't know anyone who didn't at least audition for that show.
Yeah, it was great for me. Because you only see the comic. What you don't see is the thousands of comics that they see. They see like 2,500 comics. So
no, they see about 25.
I know that's what
24,075.
Yeah, that's fair. But you go and you do it and you just bop your way through. So I auditioned in Chicago. Then they pulled the plug on it. Then it was back on, and I went and auditioned in New York. And then I was with. So I auditioned in New York, and it was 2 nights that they were having auditions in New York. And all of my comic friends was coming in the second night, and I didn't want to leave. And they were like, no, you have to go. And as they was getting off the bus, checking in, I was leaving. I was like, oh, don't you worry. I'll find my way back. And so they take us to the airport, and I instantly go and be like, I would like to see if I can change my flight. They go, this flight is non-refundable. And I was like, fine. I go, then I put me on the bump list. You want to, if the flight's full. And they was like, sir, there's like 30-something tickets available. There's no way there's going to be a flight bump in the next 2 hours. I was like, but I believe in myself. And plus, I knew all the traffic of coming in and out, and it's Chicago. So sure enough, they go, miraculously, sir, you are the first to get bumped, and it looks like this flight is full, and so you can fly out. You can pick and choose when you want to fly out. I go, I want to fly out tomorrow, obviously, and they go, no problem. And because of that, they bumped me. I actually got a $500 voucher. So I go back to my buddy. I show up, and everybody, we're going crazy, and we're drinking. And me and my good friend, one of the funniest people on the planet, Chad Daniels, he's auditioning that day. Him and I drink to 4 a.m. Now, my kryptonite with drinking is I cannot fly hungover. So I am pounding water. Shot water, shot water, shot water. We call it a night at 4 a.m. Chad is not going to the same principal that I am. I'm staying in his room, and every half hour, I am hard peeing. I am peeing like it's the first time I peed in days. When I pass out, I wake up, hard pee. And I get up, though, and I'm feeling like $1 million. I look over at Chad. He is toast. And it's got just full bottles of Gatorade, because he thought he would just pound Gatorade in the night, but he passed out with 6 full bottles of Gatorade. I get on my flight, and then I talk to him. I go, so the next day, I go, how did the audition go? Well, how the fuck you think it went? I was on stage sweating. Everybody's like, is everything all right? No, it's not all right. So I advanced to the top 100, and he did not. So yes, that's my last comic standing story, is how I stopped the progress of a good friend who's now killing it, but I slowed the progress. You don't drink with Bozeman when it counts. But I did make it to the final 100, and everything was great. And I haven't been nervous on stage in a while, but they hold you in a room for hours and hours and hours. And by the time it got to getting up on stage, like I was like, oh my God, I'm nervous. Like I was like, normally I don't care because it's like a minute and a half, right? It's like you're a minute and a half. Roseanne Barr, Norm Macdonald, and Keen Ivory Wayans were the judges, and I had a good set, but I was nervous. But then once I made it to the top 40 or whatever, it was all gravy. And I had a really good set. And I see why they didn't take me, because they got to nitpick, because, it's 40 of really good comics, and you nitpick them or whatever, and I didn't make it. But, I got a lot of work, and there's a lot of stepping stones, and they showed 2 of my jokes on Last Comic Standing, so I get to put it down as a credit.
And I think that qualifies as a road story and a Last Comic Standing story.
Qualifies as a road story. I got out of that, and I got a voucher, a $500 voucher.
Kevin, thanks a lot for coming on the show.
Always a pleasure to see you, sir.
Oh, same here. This is Stand Up, Sit Down. This has been Kevin Bozeman. I've been Tim Slagle. Tune in next week. I hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you very much, and good night.